Joining me now is Shelly Verougstraete of Pitcher List, of a bunch of places, right? We got Pitcher List, Dynasty Guru.
That's pretty much it now. I've really cut down.
That's right. You've cut down.
Yeah.
That's smart. Don't spread yourself too thin.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I was just like doing something like every day, and I'm just like, okay, I need just a couple of nights to myself, and I guess maybe my husband. I don't know about him.
Yeah. No. My wife keeps telling me I need to cut back a little bit on certain things so we could spend time together. But today's our anniversary, and I'm spending it with you.
Oh dear. Now I feel bad.
She's at work. Shelly, remind everybody where you can reach on social media, and then plug a little bit of your work before we get started.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at ShellyV_643. You can really find me on Pitcher List. I'm the Dynasty manager over there now, so I kind of I crack the whip to get everyone writing. But I also have some top 500 Dynasty player lists, some just basically a lot of a list stuff. And then over on the Dynasty Guru, I'm pretty much the same thing. A lot of lists and just getting other people to write and helping them, develop their career in this industry. So
that's got to be a nice little change of pace, though, right? I mean, it's but also, is that frustrating too? Because I mean, I've managed people at Friends Fancy Benefits before, and it can be sometimes like herding cats.
Yes, especially during the awful ranking season where you have to have these pieces on this day. You have a schedule, and you're running up towards the end of it, and you're like, "Help! Come on, let's go!" But it is also fun, especially when you see people who that are just amazing analysts, writers, whatever, just go be better, go to higher places, and it's just like, I do you.
Hey,
so
that's how I feel about you. And I feel about our friend Darius, and I've been blessed to have worked with some really great people, Friends Fancy Benefits, that have gone on to some amazing places in the industry. So it is really cool. I consider it my coaching tree. I revel in the success of others because I played a tiny little role in it. So it's pretty cool. I've gotten you here today, even though we spent a lot of time together over the last 24 hours, because I wanted to talk about a couple drafts we've done together. So one, you and I did the Tag Team Championship draft last night on NFBC, facing off against a bunch of really, really good players in the NFBC world and in the industry. Last year, I think we finished in fifth.
Yeah,
fourth, fifth, or sixth. I can't remember. It was the most competitive league I have ever been a part of, and that's not hyperbolic.
Yeah, it was so crazy, especially especially in an NFBC style league, because sometimes you have people just kind of bail out, sadly. But I mean, it was from top to bottom, we were still going at it towards 2 to 3 weeks into this late 2 to 3 weeks left in the season, and it was really crazy. It's every time during Fab, where can I go? It was so great, so competitive.
Yeah, so we finished fifth. I just brought it up, but we were about 10 points out of third place, which was the last cash place. Shout out to Zach Waxman, Mike Curlin, who took it down. But it was, I think 8 teams were still involved in the in the top 3. Into September. It was extremely competitive. We were in first place for a while. I think everybody at some point were in first place. Late into the season, after the All-Star break, there were still the first place was changing hands over and over again. And I'm pretty sure the team who finished third, which was Eric Cross and Michael Govier, were in first heading into the last day. So it just went back and forth. Really, really fun and good group. Most people are returning this year with a few new entries. Why don't you we'll start by asking you what you thought of just the draft as a whole, like not necessarily our team, but like how competitive and difficult of a draft it was.
I mean, I thought it was like super competitive. I have been in a few NFBC 50s and DCs. So it's a totally different vibe for me because at least on that side, it's a slow draft. So you have time to think, right? And this one was a 1 minute clock?
Yeah, 1 minute
Something
clock.
like that.
Yep.
So it's different because here people don't stick to ADPs.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have that little cushion, right? You had people grabbing players that they know weren't going to come back. I mean, it was just a very, very smart room. Just people going for who they wanted. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you're completely right. I think I said it pretty early in the draft to you. It's like this is what a main event feels like. So if
Yeah.
you've never been in an NFBC main event league, things do not go chalk. They don't go according to ADP.
Mm-hmm.
Certain things get pushed up. Starting pitching gets pushed up. Saves get pushed up. Speed gets pushed up. But people really just throw ADP out the window and they just go get their guys, which is a smart way to play. Because you don't want to walk out of the draft room going, oh, well, I ended up with this guy who I just don't like. This league was no different. 4 starting pitchers in the first round, which is actually not even that aggressive. But we saw guys like Byron Buxton get picked in the 3rd. Sal Perez, the first pick of the 3rd round. We saw certain players fall. Aaron Judge fell to the 4th. We felt pretty good about our start. We had the 5th spot. We set our KDS 1 through 5, right? Because I think we're both kind of in agreement. We want to be near the top of the draft if possible.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've had some drafts where I'm like picking like 8th and 9th, 10th, and I'm just like, there was just like some pockets of the draft, whether it's at the beginning, the middle, and the end, where I'm just like, I don't like anyone here. And when I'm I'm picking like towards the top, I felt a little bit better about where those players are going.
Yeah, and I did too. And we ended up. I thought we were going to. We pretty much set our top 5, which was Turner, Ramirez, Cole, Bichette, and Soto, and we just assumed that was going to be the top 5, and that we were just gonna get whoever was left out of that group. But Vlad Guerrero Jr. went 4th overall, which gave us a choice between Bichette and Cole. Let me talk about why we went the direction we did.
I mean, I just felt better with Bichette because you had that speed. You get into the Blue Jays lineup, which is freaking ridiculous, right? And he's going to hit at the top, right? And I just felt safer with the hitter of Bichette over Cole because I was hoping that maybe a starter would come back around. And then, there were still a lot of good starters available other than Cole. With Bichette, you're not really going to find a player in the 2nd or 3rd round that can give you what he can do.
Yeah, and I don't have Bichette on any teams until this team, and so like I was Cole. I have a little bit higher at an NFBC with how high starting pitching gets pushed up. Usually at 5, if Cole's there, I'm going to take him, and I might even entertain a guy like Corbin Burns at 5. I've got the main event coming up. But I'm drafting 3rd, so I won't have to worry about that as much. But the prospect, I want a share of Bichette this year. I think Bichette's going to be just another dynamic player, like you mentioned. That Toronto lineup's fantastic. Getting that speed at the top of the draft, I think, is a must under most circumstances. So I love that. We kind of decided we'll just take whoever the highest starting pitcher is, and then we didn't in the 2nd round. So
of course we didn't.
So in the 2nd round, we took Liam Hendriks. I think I kind of pushed for this one a little bit more than you.
Yeah.
Just because I know how quickly the closers dry up. and we'll talk about that later because we didn't really get another closer, quote unquote closer. And so I'm kind of glad we did. How did you feel about the Hendricks call?
I mean, I felt totally fine with it. I mean, because I think that I kind of pushed for Bichette over Cole, and you were really wanting Hendricks. And I'm like, I'm totally fine with that. I mean, I think that he is the highest rank reliever that I have like on my list. I mean, I guess I don't have a physical list, but in my mind, I think that he is the best reliever. I mean, even with Kimbrel there, I just feel that they're going to just rely on Hendricks. I mean, even like after the trade, they still gave all the chances pretty much to Hendricks. I think that they had the better team. The AL Central is also gotten a lot more competitive, which is something that I didn't think that I would be saying like 2 years ago because it was pretty much trash. So maybe be more competitive games. And if he is in more competitive games, they're closer and they can get more saves there. And then, you know, when it comes to like Hader or something like that, the NL Central is not as competitive. So I just felt, I really felt great about the Hendricks pick.
Yeah, I did too. And then the next round was definitely your pick. You are a big Yordan Alvarez
Yes.
guy. We just a bunch of pitchers went in between our second and third round picks. So I mean, Julio Urias, Josh Hader, Shane Bieber, Aaron Nola, and Sandy Alcantara all went in between our next two picks. And so instead of feeding into that starting pitcher run, we went Yordan. And one of the reasons you want to take Yordan in the second. And I said, listen, knowing some of the guys who are in between our two picks, because I mean, I know Matt Modica, I know Dave McDonald. I was like, I think there's a really good chance that Yordan would be there in the third. He was, and we snagged him pretty quickly.
Yeah, I was pretty stoked, and I'm glad that you talked me off of just going Alvarez there. I mean, this is like what I really love about this tag team kind of draft, because I mean, it's like some of these players, and I really don't. And it's just like really awesome to actually sit down and talk about the draft with someone else, because yeah, I mean, I have my guys that I love, you have the guys that you love, but you can have someone to talk it out with instead of just going for the guys that you love. But Alvarez, man, he's like my sneaky AL MVP candidate. I think that he is gonna just explode this year. So when he was available, I was like, yes. I mean,
I hope he does, because he could be an absolute. He stays healthy, plays 150 games. He's gonna be a monster.
yeah.
So.
I mean, I was like really off of him last year, coming off the knee stuff, but he played so many games, like 140, 150 games. I feel fine with it. When Manny Machado had his knee injury issues, and everyone was fading him, right? He hasn't had any knee issues since then. And I just feel that, I don't know, maybe he's like on the Machado route when it comes to knee things. He got them both cleaned up. He played how many ever games that he played last year. No injury crop up or anything. I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about him long term.
Sure.
Yep. Just as a person who's dealt with a similar condition since I was young, like these conditions don't typically get better long term. That being said, like he's still super young. He's in very good shape. I think that he's a guy that may not age as well because of his knees, but like I don't really have many worries for him this year.
Yeah.
Any more than any other player for the most part. So, a lot of pitchers went in between our third and fourth pick because we had the fifth pick, so we had a long ways to wait. We had Raciel Iglesias, Zach Wheeler, Giolito, Peralta, Emmanuel Clase, Diaz, Robbie Ray, Kevin Gausman, all went. And you and I landed on Joe Musgrove in the fourth round as our ace. How comfortable are you with that?
I'm super comfortable. Like I'm pretty stoked that he actually came back to us. I mean, I'm surprised that he went after Gaussman and Ray, to be honest. I love Musgrove for this year. He had kind of an up and down kind of season where he was like really good and then had like a bad couple of starts, but then was like really good again. Um, I like San Diego. I think that he could have plenty of wins. I just think that he's absolutely legit.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I think he's a little underrated by the market right now. I love him as an SP1. I've got him on the lower end of my SP1s, but when you're picking your first SP in the fourth round, that's what you're going to get. And I was happy to get him. We wrapped around and got Randy Arozarena, 2020 guy. This was, again, me pushing. I didn't want to fall behind on speed. You okay with that pick?
100%. Like I honestly, I don't get the hate. Other than maybe some drafters are upset that he didn't do more. Like
I don't get it. Like, I think people saw what he did at the end of 2020 and said, oh, this guy's going to be a monster and he's going to be like a 30-30 guy. But like, you got a 2020 guy that produces in 5 categories. Like, I don't know what the issue is.
I don't understand the issue either. And the Rays are historically like to platoon, but they didn't really platoon with a Rosarena. So I thought it was an excellent pick right there. It gave us, more power, more speed, a pretty good group of 5 players there.
Yep. Our next 5 were Alec Manoa, Yasmani Grandal, Chris Bassett, Josh Bell, and Jake Cronenworth. Talk about what you liked out of
that. As we talked prior to the draft, I am big on getting catchers. I don't know what has gotten into me this year, but I am drafting a lot of like the higher end catchers. And I knew you, and I knew that you probably wouldn't do like the double tap.
We tried to.
Yeah, we tried.
Yeah,
but
we took Grandal because the first question you asked me when we started doing strategy was, how do you feel about early catching?
Yep.
And I was like, I don't mind it. Like, I'm okay with it. I think it's a good strategy. I just can't envision doing it in the 3rd round. And I knew that's where Sal Perez would go.
Yeah.
And sometimes Real Mutu goes. And so I kind of knew we were not going to be able to get them unless we took them, with the 5th pick of 3rd round. And I just felt like that was too early, personally. But I'm all about Grandal, and I have not gotten Grandal on any teams this year, even though like I think people don't realize how amazing he was when he came back from injury last year.
Yeah, I picked him up. Someone dropped him in my TGFBI league last year. So I was the one who benefited from.
Were you in Danielle's league? Because she had to drop him in.
No, someone else must have dropped him too, because I picked him up off of waivers, and he was unbelievable after he came back from his injury. So I mean, if we can get some of that, because I mean, I don't expect him to be gangbusters like that, and then getting into again a stacked lineup like the White Sox, I think it was a great pick, and I got one good catcher, so I'm happy.
Yeah, we almost got Wilson Contreras. We were ready to double tap if he got back to us in the 8th. Unfortunately, the team Swan sniped us, and that was unfortunate. So we ended up with Chris Bassett, who we both love. Alec Manoa, who we got in the 6th round, I think we both love. And I had not gotten Manoa yet this season, so I was glad to finally get him on a team. And then Josh Bell, I think Josh Bell is just a really, really good first baseman. I don't know that he's underrated or overrated. I think he's properly rated. And that Washington lineup just got better with the addition of Nelson Cruz. We were talking during the draft, like, we don't know what Washington's doing, but I like it.
Exactly. I don't know why Nelson Cruz was there, except maybe he was just like, hey, I get to go play with Juan Soto. So
Mm-hmm.
let me just go there. And the Nationals ballpark is kind of sneaky hitterish. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that Nelson Cruz is going to be great there. But going back to Bell, I mean, if you're hitting behind those guys and you have Cesar Hernandez there, I mean, it's a good group right there. It kind of falls off after that, but it's a really good group there. And just getting Josh Bell, I think he's just going to be one of those set it and forget it kind of players.
Yep. And so by this point, we have, the top closer in the game. We've got, 3 starting pitchers that I feel really, really good about. I've got them all ranked as, I think, top 25 guys. So to get 3 guys in my top 25 made me pretty happy. We've got, a top tier catcher that you wanted. I felt really good about where our start went. And so then in rounds 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15, we did a little Tigers stack. We took Akil Baddoo, Robbie Grossman, Josh Donaldson, Luis Patino, and Heimer Candelario. So 3 Tigers in 5 picks. Let's talk about that. I mean, Baddoo and Grossman are both 2020 candidates, and I just feel like I understand maybe their averages won't be great, but both were just fantastic. And if they each steal 20 bases again, then we're doing great in stolen bases.
Yeah, I mean, we'll be golden if they both do that. And I mean, I do think that they both have a chance, just like you said. And the Tigers lineup might be getting better. Like if we had see Riley Green and Torkelson, I really surprisingly like the Tigers offense. And Baddoo does have his issues. I mean, he does have troubles hitting lefties, but just seeing what he did last year as a Rule 5 pick coming up from high A and after many seasons of just being injured and not playing and seeing what he did, I'm like, I love you, man. Because you don't usually see that big of a jump and being able to hold your head above water. So I love that guy. What are your thoughts on Baddoo?
Baddoo's a guy that I've gotten just kind of sparingly throughout the season. I do worry about platoon risk, especially as they start bringing guys up from the minors and stuff. That being said, I don't think the Tigers lineup is going to be that stacked in the outfield where he's not going to still play fairly regularly. And the potential is just unlimited. And he made real changes and real approach changes in the second half that, hopefully they will carry over. And I mean, like I said, I think he could be a 2020 guy this year. And you just don't find that very often in the 11th round, much less the 12th round with Robbie Grossman.
Exactly.
Even if Grossman takes a little bit of a step back, the Tigers love him. They let him lead off a lot. They might let Baddoo lead off a lot too. So now we got 2 guys leading off in front of what should be a pretty stacked lineup at some point during the season. I love both those. And then, we kind of paired up third base. We were deciding between Josh Donaldson and Junior Suarez and Candelario. And we landed on Donaldson because of the upside that Donaldson has. And then Candelario came back around to us, and it was like, Donaldson's probably going to miss games at some point. And Candelario is a low ceiling, but a high floor kind of guy. He's just going to play and be productive and, probably offer a decent average and just enough pop to be okay. And so you made kind of the push to just, back him up. And I thought it was a great idea.
Yeah, I really like it because, I mean, like you said, Donaldson, sadly, is going to miss some games. I mean, probably a lot of the Yankees are going to miss games. Like they just have just the guys who just do that. Like they're big and strong, so they just get hurt.
They're not
exactly. And then Candelario, I mean, he plays every day, and if you pair Donaldson's just what he's going to do, and then buffer that with Candelario when he's out, I mean, that's an awesome player. So I love getting those 2 third basemen back to back. Well, not back to back, but close together.
In between, we did get Luis Patino. It was just a high upside pick. The draft software that I guess Fantasy Pros does on NFBC did not like that pick. Said we took him way too early. It's looking a lot better just this minute because the Rays just announced that Shane Baz is having some an elbow procedure to clean up some loose bodies and elbow. He's going to not even pitch for the next 2 to 3 weeks, which means he's probably not in the majors till close to Memorial Day. So Patino, I think, has a guaranteed role now on that Rays staff. I thought he did already, but I don't think there's any competition now. So do you like the Patino pick? Because I think that was more of me pushing for that one again.
Well, I thought I was pushing for that, so maybe
Okay,
we're all
good.
okay. Yeah, maybe
we're on lockstep because I love Patino.
I love Patino this year. I mean, I've been a fan of his like when he was in San Diego. Him and Gore were like besties, and they were just tearing up the minor leagues. So and he did struggle last year, but that I still believe in the player. I still believe in Patino's talent. I still believe in Tampa. I do think that, especially with the Boz injury, I think that they're going to have McClanahan go 6-7 innings. But I do think that we'll start to see Patino go a little bit more. But even if they don't, I still love the talent. I love the kid. And I do think that we're going to see him just explode this year.
Yeah, I do too. I think this is going to be a breakout season for him. I've been trying to get him as many leagues as I can.
Yeah.
Then the next 5 rounds, we took Descalfani, Steven Matz. I think both of those were we were looking for kind of guaranteed innings.
Yep.
They're not amazing pitchers, but they're good pitchers in good ballparks. And then we took Michael Brantley, Cesar Hernandez, and we got our second catcher a little bit later than you had wanted, but we got Max Stassi, who seems to be healthy. He's having a good spring already. What are your thoughts on this 5?
I thought it was a great 5. Like you said, Tony Disco and Steven Matz, they're not sexy, but they're going to give you innings. Great ballpark. Brantley, I think that it's just kind of like a good, like glue kind of guy. He's going to give you average. He should be hitting towards like the top of the Astros lineup. I just don't know exactly what they're going to do with Tucker. Maybe later in the season, when Tucker's probably going gangbusters, so they might make that flip there. But that being said, Michael Brantley just goes out and just does everything. Cesar Hernandez hitting in front of Juan Soto, Nelson Cruz. Okay, yes, I have him in so many leagues this year. And then Stassi. Even if we didn't go super catcher heavy, Stassi, that's an absolutely fine pick right there. LA, I think, is going to be better this year. Stassi was really good last year when he was healthy. So it was a great second catcher.
Yeah, I liked Stassi a lot last year. Obviously, injuries kind of derailed him, but I think this could be a nice little bounce back year. And I mean, it's your second catcher. We didn't take one early, unfortunately, but we got someone I think we're both pretty comfortable with. Probably the last guy who I would have been comfortable with as our catcher too. I really liked the Brantley pick because I felt like at that point our 2 biggest issues were average and saves. And Brantley helped fix a little bit of the average issues, and I think Cesar Hernandez will too. I think his average was down last year, but I think got a little unlucky. I think he also sold out for power. I think the Nationals will try to get him to become a little bit more contact heavy on top of that lineup and kind of return back to. We probably don't get 20 home runs from him again this year, which is fine. I don't think we need those. I think we get double-digit homers, but with like a 280 batting average and a whole bunch of runs scored. So I like that Cesar Hernandez pick quite a bit. Then we did try to address saves a little bit with Paul Sewald. It's gonna be a committee. We know that. We're not expecting him to lead the Mariners in saves necessarily. However, the Mariners have, Ken Giles coming off of Tommy John. I don't think he's not even ready yet for games. Diego Castillo dealt with some injuries last year. Steckenrider's old. And the other guy is already injured. I can't remember.
Casey Sadler?
No, it wasn't Sadler. I was thinking someone else. The rookie they got from San Diego.
Munoz.
Munoz, yeah. He's injured, probably won't be ready till midseason. So if I'm going to bet on an arm, one, I want to bet on talent, and two, I want to bet on who's healthy right now, and that's Seawald. So, we're going to bet on the skills and hope for the best. If we can just get 14 saves out of him, I'll be happy. I think there's a chance you get more, but I like that one. So we kind of addressed that next. And Eric Lohr, Yoshi Tsugo, Tony Kemp, and Art Warren. Art Warren, another safe spec because we don't have another closer. So what'd you think about this five?
I mean, I do like those specs of Seawold and Warren. They're both in committees. They're gonna both make us pull our hair out pretty much every single week. But I think that there's definitely opportunities for them to get both of them to get double-digit saves. Lauer is my guy. What he did in the second half with the Brewers last year, it was unbelievable. And I think that, I mean, everyone's been talking about Aaron Ashby, and I love Aaron Ashby, but don't forget about Eric Lauer. Milwaukee is just like so good with pitching, and they just know what to do to get the most out of their guys. And I just really believe that he is just going to be maybe not like the next big Brewer guy, but maybe like Freddie Peralta breakout. Like, I just think that he's just going to be like a really good guy. Tsutsugo, it was just an interesting play. Pittsburgh is kind of a clusterfuck.
You can curse. It's okay.
Okay, it's basically a clusterfuck. So Tsutsugo, when he came over to Pittsburgh, he played well. So it's kind of like a flyer there. Tony Kemp, another clusterfuck in Oakland. But he hit well last year. So it's kind of like we're just gonna throw a dart here.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we did with our reserve list is just grab a bunch of multi-position eligible guys.
Yeah.
And we grabbed Sugo's eligible at first and the outfield. We grabbed Tony Kemp, who's eligible at second and the outfield. And then in the 28th round, we grabbed Luis Arraez, who is eligible at second, third, and the outfield. I mean, there's no IL in NFBC. And you have those Friday switches. And so you just want to be able to play matchups, and you want to be able to cover yourself if you do have an injury, especially in a 15-team league. There's just not as much on the waiver wire. And obviously, if these guys don't perform well, we can jettison them off our team. We finished out with Mike Lorenzen, Stephen Kwan, the aforementioned Luis Arraez, Jorge Alcala, and Gavin Sheets. What did you think about how we finished?
I really like the Lorenzen, just kind of like, dart throw there. I mean, I know that the Angels are probably going to go 6-man, but I just like to take a gamble on Lorenzen. I mean, I liked him when he was with the Reds. He was a really fun pitcher to watch. And if they're going to actually let him start, which it really does seem like they're going to do, let's just take a gamble there. Who knows? I mean, it's the 26th round. Who cares?
Yeah.
So I really like that. Stephen Kwan, Cleveland's outfield situation is just like really crazy, and not in a good way crazy. But what Stephen Kwan did last year in the minor leagues was just phenomenal. I will take a gamble on that guy. I don't know if we're going to get much power from him. He didn't really show too much power in the minor leagues, but I just really like him as a hitter, and I think that he won't kill us, basically. Jorge Akala, I've been picking him up as kind of like a save spec. Who knows what Minnesota's going to do? I've heard that they're going to stretch him out, but I don't know. But I kind of like him. And then Gavin Sheets, who knows?
Yeah, Gavin Sheets. I'm not a big Gavin Sheets guy, but I think he's going to play. I really don't know what Chicago's doing really with some of their decisions. But worth a gamble. Again, a lot of these guys are going to get jettisoned off their roster if they're not performing. Kwan's interesting. I think there's a chance he could break camp with a team, and if he's not, I think he's up pretty early because, like you mentioned, Cleveland needs help in the outfield. And there isn't a whole lot of talent there to block him from getting a pretty regular, if not everyday role once he is up. So we didn't take any other stashes. We didn't take any other injured guys. We didn't take any minor league guys. So Quan is our one stash, and we'll kind of see how it plays out. How did you feel overall about the team?
I really like the team. I think that we have like a good core, right at the top where we're not going to have to worry about anything. We didn't take any injured guys or any kind of like wild prospect kind of dart throws, stuff like that. I just think that we put together a really, really good team that's going to be really competitive. We'll still have, obviously work to do in Fab. We'll probably be specking for saves all year. But I think that we have a good team here.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's going to be a very competitive team. It's a very competitive league. Anybody in the league any other team in the league you think did extremely well or extremely badly?
No, I mean, I think everyone did pretty well. The Siege, with the
that's why I said pretty badly.
I know the Mondesi Tatis. That's yeah.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, Greg Blankenship and the Siege, they were the crazy team in last year's draft that drafted a whole bunch. Did not draft a starting pitcher, I think, until like the 12th or 13th round. They ended up drafting like a bunch of, or tried to draft a bunch of closers that ended up not being closers. Took Mondesi super early, and I could probably find out where they finished. Let's see. They ended up finishing 8th. And then this year, they just said, we're going to try it again. So they did not take any pitcher until the 7th round, in which they doubled up on Martin Lanson and Camilo Doval, and then did not take a starting pitcher until round 11, where they took Tanner Houck, Clayton Kershaw, Mike Clevenger, and Adam Wainwright were their first 4 starters. They also took Jack Flaherty. It just was, yeah. I don't. Greg and the Siege are both good players. I just don't know why they lit $500 on fire in front of us. So,
yeah. To each their own.
There's some teams I really like. I really like Chris at Baseball Pod's team. I can't remember who his partner was, but they started off Albies, Mullins, Real Muto. Then their pitching staff was Gosman, Lynn, Rogers, Shane McClanahan. I think it looks like they're kind of they push down saves. Their closers are Rowan Wick and Chris Stratton, 2 guys who may lead their teams in saves, but I don't know if that's going to be enough to compete. They're going to have to get saves in season. That was my favorite team other than ours. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Let's talk real quick about your TGFBI league draft. You were in League 25, and you were blessed to be in my league. Mostly because you kind of called me out.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So I was like, oh no, I'm not going to let this slide. So not only did I put you in my league, I put your husband in my wife's league.
Yep. I love that. Once I saw it go, the league come out, I'm like, yes, he did it. I'm so glad. So awesome.
So you had pick 6 again with Bichette, Jordan, start.
Yep.
So and then you went Giolito, Clase, Wander Franco. Obviously, I don't need to know about Bichette in Jordan because we took them. We just talked about them in our tag team. So now this is unfortunate. I didn't even know this because now I've got to root for your TGFBI team to do well because they're on my tag team. So this is a bit brutal here. Looking at your draft, I really like it. So you went Giolito, Clase, Franco. What do you like about those 3 guys?
When I went Bichette and Alvarez, that's my power speed. So I needed to get in my opinion, a legit starter. And seeing that Giolito was still there at that point, I was like, I need to go get him. I think that he is definitely like one of those aces that he's not going to be like the top tier, but you're not going to be upset with him, right? He was perfectly fine last year, except for a few blow-ups, but I just really think that he is super safe. Class A, I'm hoping that Cleveland can be competitive enough to give him enough saves, but I just think that he is a legit awesome closer, pitcher, everything. I love watching him. And when it came to Franco, I just wanted to get I got another shortstop. But I just think that he is super safe. So I tried to go as safe as I could with the top 5, but not too safe. So there's still some sexy picks in there.
Yeah. I like it all. I'm not as big of a Wander Franco guy this year. I think the ceiling's a little capped, and I think people are paying for maybe a ceiling that might not be there this year. I think in long term it will be there, but this year I'm not quite sold that the power is going to be like 20 plus or the stolen bases are going to be 10 plus. I think you're looking at like a 15 homer, 7-8 stolen base guy, which is fine with a great average. He's going to a lot of runs, great average, but just not what I'm looking for there. You have benefited really well with your next few picks in free agency because you took Jose Barrios, Chris Bryant, who then signed in Colorado after this draft. Remember, this draft at the beginning of March. And then Kyle Schwarber in the 9th, who signed in Philadelphia. Had we had this draft now, there's no way you get those guys there.
No way. There's no way that Bryant and Schwarber would left to the 7th and 9th round, respectively. I mean, I like them prior to them signing. Chris Bryant was just kept falling, and I did like that he was third base and outfield eligible. So I just was like, eh. And I think that it was either Bryant or Bregman that I had on my board to just pick a third baseman. I'm like, I'll just go with Bryant because he has 2 positions. So I lucked out there. And then Schwarber, I just think that he's finally coming into the guy that we thought he was going to be when he was back in the Cubs, right? Hitting home runs in the playoffs and in World Series and stuff. And I just think that he's going to just totally just be amazing in Philadelphia.
Yeah, if I knew Bryant was going to, or not Bryant, if I knew Schwarber was going to be in Philly or Bryant in Colorado, at that point, yeah, there's no way I would have let them fall to you. That was nice. You got also Cronenworth and Luis Urias. The Luis Urias pick doesn't seem so great now, but Cronenworth's triple eligibility is nice. Hopefully, I haven't seen an actual diagnosis yet on Urias, but it doesn't sound good.
Yeah, I think I saw today where he's going to be shut down for 2 weeks with a quad. So I'm thinking it's probably
that's not too bad.
Yeah, I think it's maybe like a grade 1 quad thing. But if they just let him just chill out for a bit, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that he doesn't miss too much time at the beginning of the season, because what he did last year, I think that he was starting to really come into what we thought that he was going to be. So hopefully I don't miss too much time from him.
And then Eduardo Rodriguez in the 11th, David Bednar in the 12th, Tariq Skubal in the 13th, AJ Pollock 14, Rizzo 15, Murphy in the 16th, Duvall 17th, Aaron Ashby 18th, Yadier Molina 19th, Herman Marquez in the 20th. Talk to me about some of these guys. What did you like? What maybe you don't like almost a month later?
Yeah, I really needed, after I took way too many bats, I needed to address pitching. And seeing that Erod was there in the 11th really made my heart sing. Honestly, I was really hoping to get Eovaldi, but alas, I went with the
one pick before.
Yeah, I know. I was so hot too. I was like, oh dang it. But with Erod, I never rostered him when he was with the Red Sox, because I found him so extremely frustrating to watch. I watch every single Red Sox game, so he was extremely frustrating to watch. But knowing that he's not going to be in the AL East anymore, he's going to a bigger ballpark. He is not in Boston, where sometimes it can be rough to be a player, I think. And, he's going to be the opening day starter. He's got the big contract. He is the guy in Detroit. And they are starting to turn back around. So when I saw him there, I'm like, I'm gonna go take him. I'm gonna take a gamble on the guy who I used to curse at the TV, curse at the TV like all the time. So I think that he's gonna have like an absolute awesome season. Same thing with Scooble. I've been a fan of his for a while. I think that last year he was trying to figure out which pitches of his arsenal work the best. And I think that he is going to get there. I think Casey Mize is also going to get there as well. I saw that Matt Manning was throwing 95, 96 today.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh yeah, here we go. Here come the Tigers. So I think that Scooble is going to have a big year this year. Bednar, I like him. I don't know if he's going to close in with the Pirates, but I needed some type of save spec there. So
yeah, I took Chris Stratton in that same draft later on. So
yeah,
I'm hoping he doesn't get many saves.
Yeah, I noticed that you picked him. I was hoping to like get him like in the later rounds. It's kind of like a handcuff there.
Mm-hmm.
Pollock, I think, is just kind of okay when he plays.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy that he's hitting ninth.
Yeah, that lineup is just disgustingly good.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, as a Giants fan, the Dodgers are just too good offensively. It's going to be ugly.
Yeah. And then Rizzo, Murphy, Duvall. I just kind of like them where they fell. Rizzo might be hitting leadoff for the Yankees, which is crazy. Okay.
Like I said, you lucked out on free agency, guys.
I know.
That worked out well for you.
Yeah, and maybe Murphy will get traded to the Yankees and just here we go, right? No,
he could.
He could
at this point. I know they're really looking for pitching right now, but I mean, a Murphy and Montas pairing, might bring back quite a bit. So who knows?
Yep. And then I just took like stabs with Duvall, who racked up so many RBIs last year in Miami, which is crazy to think. Aaron Ashby, I took a flyer on a guy I like. Molina had to get another catcher who's super safe in playing time. And Marquez, who knows? Maybe he'll have a good couple matchups here and there. I'll have innings there if I need it.
Yeah. I never know when to play Marquez.
Yeah.
I don't want that headache. So, but I like a lot of the other picks. Then you finished out with Alec Baum, the aforementioned Eric Lauer, Manny Margot, Cesar Hernandez, the aforementioned Cesar Hernandez. See, too many guys on the same team I gotta root for, but you're in my league. Reed Detmers, Vidal Brujan, another Jorge Alcala again, Darren Ruff, and then Pete Fairbanks. Why did you finish out this way?
I had to get my guys. Lauer, Hernandez, and Akala, I've been pretty much getting everywhere. I thought I needed another outfielder when it comes to AJ Pollock, he has trouble staying healthy. So I was like, I'll get Margot, who is 26, 27. And he still can give you double-digit steals right there. I was like, I'll take him. And then when Brujan was still available in the 26th, I'm like, even if they start playing around with Margot's playing time, maybe Brujan will be the other guy there, right? So I took a stab there. Detmers, I really, really like this year. I think that he's going to be like the breakout pitcher in LA, in my opinion. He looked really good yesterday in spring training. I'm just like, yes. I'm like, here we go. And I think that he probably would be, this might be crazy to say, like an angel that might actually stay healthy. He hasn't dealt with injury issues through college, throughout his brief time in the minors. So I do think that they are going to really rely on him.
Angels could be dangerous. I mean, Patrick Sandoval looked great.
Yep.
Because my biggest concern with him was health. If Syndergaard is anything close to what he was last year, and now they have a healthy Ohtani, a healthy Syndergaard, a healthy Patrick Sandoval, Reed Detmers, like that could be a really good rotation, in spite of the fact they didn't really upgrade it a ton.
Exactly. I'm really excited to really watch that rotation, which I never thought that I would say about Angels, right?
Not since Andrew Heaney left.
Exactly.
My boy. All right. So how do you feel overall about the team, and how far below me do you think you're going to finish?
I think that I will finish way above you.
Okay.
Okay. And honestly, I really like my team. And this is like the first time I've really looked at it since I drafted. And I was like, oh shit. I like we realized like I cashed in on free agency.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like the team. Um I'll be like looking for saves all year. I tend to not draft closers where I should. But I think it's a pretty good team. Pretty competitive.
I think it's pretty good too. I had the opposite luck so far with my team, because I drafted Zach Wheeler in the second round. I drafted Will Smith in the 5th round. I drafted Nate Pearson in the 26th, who with now Kikuchi signing, I don't think he's got a job. And I drafted Kyle Lewis, who's hurt. So it's been not very fun for me.
I'm sorry.
And DJ LeMahieu, I drafted, I think in the 9th round, and somebody doesn't have a job in that infield in New York. I don't know if it's him or Gleyber Torres, but it's one of those two is a bench guy now, which is infuriating. But
Yes.
Until they trade someone, I'm hoping maybe that Oakland trade, maybe they trade Gleyber Torres to Oakland.
I think that would be really, really good. Like I'm surprised that they actually traded Voit to the Padres, even though the Padres like really needed that help. Because I mean, if they did like a Gleyber Torres, Luke Voit, doesn't Voit really just seem like an Oakland A?
Yeah.
That's
it's totally like a Scott Hatterberg type deal. Shelly, thank you so much for coming on and breaking these two teams down for me. Remind everybody where you can reach on social media, and then again, plug your work.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at ShellyV_643. I post way too many photos of my dogs. So if you don't like
and
dogs
cakes.
And cakes and cookies and everything. So if come for that, and then you'll have some baseball stuff. But then I also write over at Pitcher List and a little bit over at the Dynasty Guru.
It was an absolute pleasure to have you on again, and we will be talking soon because we are going to take down this tag team together.
Yes, we are.